All right. This is Kevin back again for the second installment of the auction report. Last auction report just on that I did on Tuesday was mainly things ending on PWCC Weekly and some on eBay. However, this one's just strictly focusing on eBay because there was a lot came up that finished that Tuesday evening up until last night. So let's get into it with the PSA 8 1985 star last 11. Like I said, always one of my favorite cards here. This one looks pretty clean. This one actually went for 36.50, which was under recent comps, which I'll show you now. Um, this was always going on about like 4,000, 44, 5,000, 43, 42, and down to 36.50. So I do believe there was a BGS 9 that I talked about last time that also went down. I think they're just settling a bit. There's just a lot of inventory right now. I mean, just think about it. These were going for 1,800 to 2,200 about 6 months ago. So 36.50 is still a big increase. So we'll keep. I'm going to keep a watchful eye on this since it's one of my favorite cards and see how it goes. Next up, we got the only non-Jordan card. Actually, yeah, the only non-Jordan card. We got the Dominique rookie from the 83-84 star base set. Went for a really healthy price of almost $2,700. This was a really nice nine. I've got the comps here on the side, but they don't really tell much because I didn't review the one previous to this that ended at 1,600. I'm assuming it probably wasn't as nice since there was a buy now for 2,950 in August. But still up from a few months ago, being a normal $1,000 card. 2,700. It makes complete sense, being that Dominique is arguably the number two or the third most popular out of the 86 Fleer set. So it makes sense he would be just as popular in the star set. Um, and that is a really nice card. Next up, we got a couple BGS 9 second year base Jordan, the 117. Surprisingly, this one and the other one are going down a little bit. We've got this one went for 37.50 on Probe Scene, and the other one we've got went for almost 3,000, so just under 3,000. And this one was 8.5, three nines. The other one was, look at it again. I think it had 8.5 centering, but the centering did look better to me than 8.5. And then you had 9.5 edges, surface, and corners. So understandably that this one would go a little higher than the other one, but still, let's look at the comps recently on this. I mean, yeah, this was got up to, these are a couple buy nows or best offers. So this was kind of at the peak of Star Mania recently. So 54, 6,000, then 39, 37, and right at around 3,000 for this one. So all in all, a good pickup for those who got it. Next up, we've got the 85 star Court Kings bag set. I'm sorry, the 84-85 star Court Kings full bag sealed set. I don't really follow this one too often, but $8,300 I feel is a really healthy price for it, and actually not too bad of a price. I didn't really scope out this card too much, but it looks pretty good from what I can tell. And I believe what 8.5s in this copy are going for around 10,000. Or I think there was one that went for 9,000, one that went for almost 11,000 within a couple of days of each other last week. So yeah, $8,300 for the bag, pretty good deal. All right, next up we got the 86 star Court Kings Michael Jordan. Um, and I think I talked about it on last Tuesday about this particular card. I think it was a BGS 9 that hadn't came up in a while. Went for about 22, 2,300, I believe. And this 8.5 went for 2,050, which I thought was kind of high for an 8.5, but you're not really seeing, there's a good amount of copies for BGS 8.5 and 9, but you don't see them come up for sale too much lately. Like I said, you've been seeing a lot of PSA 7s, 8s, and 9s coming out. Um, and some of the comps on this, as you can see, this card is up usually about 13, 15, 16, 15, 17, then 2,050 for this one. So little increase there. Next up, we got a the 86 star number 5 out of the 10 card MJ subset from the 86 star catalog, currently only graded by BGS, as PSA does not grade the 85 86 base set nor the 86 star MJ Best of the Best or Magic Johnson sets. So this went for 2,200, which is kind of what it's always gone for as the gem copy. You did have one just recently go for $4,200, but that one did have a one of the subs was a 10, which for I don't know why people go nuts over. I don't really get it just because it has a 10 sub. Big deal to me, unless it was maybe corners. Well, actually, it might have been corners. I'd have to recheck that, but still, even so, is it really worth $2,000 more because it had one 10 sub? I don't know. Um, Next up, we got a all rookies PSA 6 from PSA. Um, Pretty decent. Went for almost 1,700, which was lower than I expect. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. This one actually went right around as expected. You see the comps here. You got 19, 17, 19, 17, and pretty much 17. So right around typical comps right there. Ooh, the big guy. So yeah, we got a PSA 7 101. Pretty good looking 101, I thought. Pretty well centered for it. I really didn't see anything glaring that made me not like this copy. Um, since I wouldn't have been surprised if it went for 5560, just because it seemed to be one of the better PSA 7 copies. Uh, Maybe not. It looks like, if you really look at it, it looks like MJ's got the print dots on them. We call them the nipples. So yeah, that went for 51.7. Recent comps on the PSA 7 look to be hanging out around the 50-52 range, as you had two recently, one for 51.8 and then this one for 51.7. The one for 68 here is kind of a non-issue comp just because all those bids for that particular PSA 7 and all the MJs in that auction were like a month ago, and all the bids came through during like the first or second day of bidding. So once MJ star cards started settling, trending downward a little bit, um, those bids had already happened. So I kind of feel bad for the buyer of that one, but it's okay. We got the card they wanted, I hope. All right, next up, we just got a number 4 of the 86 star MJ 10 card subset. The number 4 and the number 10 are my favorites, both of them him dunking. This is just an 8.5, but I was following it just because I thought it was interesting that it only went for 1248. Thought maybe a tad bit more, but still within range. The interesting part about the 86 10 card subset is that while everything has kind of been shooting to the moon that it did during June and August, this one's been a lot more like organic, slow growth, I thought. So I think these comps are here to stay for the 10 card subset, especially the number 4 and the number 10. Like I said, this one's like about 1250. I think, July, May, these were going for about 900 to 1,000. 6 months ago, I picked up mine. Actually, I picked up a BGS 9 for around 1,200 last year. So essentially now BGS 8.5s are worth what 9s were 6 months to a year ago, and 9s have gone up about $300-400 each, which is kind of the slow and steady growth I would have expected to see out of them. Next up, we got another all rookie MJ, otherwise known as the Art card for short. We got a PSA 7 here. Last one we looked at was a PSA 6. This one went for almost 2,400. And recent comps on that, this one is down. Looks like, yeah, prior to this, about 3 weeks ago, that was a buy now though, 3,300. Auction about a month ago was 2,750. Another one for 2,700. So yeah, a few $100 less than normal. Okay, and then next up we've got moving on to the Gatorade. I just talked about it a couple days ago, saying it was a hot card. Looks like it decided to come back to earth, or rather, looked like the BGS 9 that sold for around 6,100 a couple days ago um, was a little bit nicer than these, but still it was $6,100. We actually had two in since the auction report last time, so Just the last couple days, you had a BGS 9 here. Probe scene ended at 4,100. The one at probe scene actually, centering wise, looked exactly like the one that went for about 6,100. I think the edges had an 8.5. There was some white on the edges and touches of white on two of the corners. Um, and then you had another one sell after that one. It did have 8.5 corners, and that one for about 4,000. So you had one go for 4,000, one go for 4,100. Since the one on October 6th for 6,150. The question I ask you is I guess the other one, let's call it a BGS 9.25. It wasn't nice enough to be a gem mint, but is it worth $2,000 more than the BGS 9? That's hard to say. I think maybe $1,000 more, sure, but I don't know, I think $2,000 more is kind of pushing it. But anywho. Um, okay, well that was it for the auctions that ended. Now we're into the phase of the auctions that are going on right now that I'm looking at, which I think you guys will like too. Um, I saved the best couple for last. So these are kind of, I used alt just to kind of take the screenshot of kind of what auctions were going on. Just a mix between eBay and PWCC and a couple that are on Leland. All right, so first up, you got a PSA 7, last 11. You got a PSA 6, 288. I'm curious about the 288 here. We got two of them, one on PWC, one on eBay. I'm taking a close eye on this just to see if they stay at around their current values or they trend downward. So that I'm really keeping an eye on. One cool one we got here, we got another BGS 9.5 Gem Mint, 86 Slam Dunk Super 5x7. Keeping an eye on that one. Also, this is the big one right here. This one there, this is only a pop three. This 85 star Slam Dunk Supers 5x7 group photo. Card number one, BGS 9.5, only three of them, and it's only at around 38.50 right now with about 3 or 4 days left to go. By the way, all these are about 3 to 7 days before these auctions are finishing up. You got a PSA 7, 195 at PWCC. And again, I'm keeping a close eye on this one because the last PSA 7 dropped some. So I'm curious if it will drop even further or if it will stay around the same. So, or go up. So that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. You got a PSA 7 Crunch. You got another BGS 9, 117. Pretty good looking BGS 7, 195 on eBay on Probstein, and a BGS 8.5 Crunch. Also keeping a close eye on that Crunch there. The last one did go for considerably less. And the previous couple sales, a couple grand less, but I believe the previous couple sales were best offer, buy it now, and this was the one that went up for auction, the last one. So I think it was around $3,600, if memory serves me correct. Please correct me if I'm wrong. For the last BGS 8.5 that just ended a couple of days ago. And you got a I track all the BGS 9, 86 star, 10 card subsets. I like to track nines mainly just because I like that usually kind of dictates kind of what the lower grades will be. So, and it just makes it easier to look at one particular grade for the 86 MJs, that is. And you actually, this one here, I normally wouldn't be following an authentic, altered um, anything really. But this one is interesting here. Try to zoom in on it a little bit. So I'm assuming PSA caught this as being trimmed. It does have some more edge wear, like it could be trimmed, but I feel like I've seen a couple like this before, and mainly in BGS, maybe one at PSA that did get graded. So this will be really interesting to watch at gold. And if it goes for high, if it starts going for really high, I would guess that most people are looking at it to try to resend it in for grading. But I only looked at it for about a minute, so I didn't really eyeball it too much. But I don't know. Could be trimmed, but it is an appealing 195 for a card that is typically very, very off center. And so next up, let me get out of that zoom. And you got a BGS 9, the future, really top three cards of mine. Love this card. See how that's doing. Another PSA 7 art. Another BGS 9. These are a dime a dozen. You see these all the time. The BGS 9 Slam Dunk Super 5x7. Those are seem to be trending around $2,800, $3,000, or sorry, $3,000 lately. So just interesting to see if this one keeps up. But this one is at Leland's. So it's hard to tell how many eyes are on it as opposed to if it was, say, on like eBay, Probstein, or PWCC, something like that. So be curious to see what that ends at. And lastly, you can't see it here, but I double checked the. You do actually, we talked about the BGS 9.5 group photo here in the lower left. They actually have a PSA 8 on eBay right now that ends in about almost about 9 days. So I mean that's pretty high grade for PSA for that. So that should be interesting to see what that one does. Just a beautiful card. And although I like PSA better than BGS, I like the smaller holders. Oddly enough, for the 5x7s, the holders are way bigger than the BGS ones. So for 5x7s, if I were to have any of those, I would definitely want a BGS just because it's a little smaller imprint with the case on it. And then you got this one is a PSA 7 um, Slam Dunk Super MJ. I'm just watching, but the fun one is next. All right, so we got the 1986 Star Court Kings Michael Jordan rookie. Well, it's not a rookie. I don't know why they put that, but it's a BGS 9.5 Gem Mint. The reason I included this is mainly because the BGS 8.5 and BGS 9 did really well. And now we haven't seen BGS copies often, even though there's a good amount of them. More so the PSA like 7s, 8s, 9s have been coming out. So it's good to see some BGS come out. So I really like this Gem Mint copy. So I'm curious on to see how well it would do, being that the 8.5 did about 2 and the 9 did about 2,200. So this one, curious how this will go. Plus, it's got a eye appeal sticker too, top 30%. All right. And we got a banger here. You got a PSA 9 all rookies, Michael Jordan 1985 86 star art. PSA 9 population 1 of 4. Again, there's only around 70-ish of the BGS 9s, and having 4 PSA 9s. This one should do well. The only thing that's glaring to me about this card is the top right corner. It's got some whiting on it. Top left corner white on that. So I don't know. Maybe it looks to me like a PSA 8.75. Not sure I'd call it a 9, but it's still, I don't have an issue with it being a 9, I guess. But that should do well. So curious on how that will do. And now the big time, the 101s. You got the BGS 8.5 101 Michael Jordan. If you zoom in on this, you'll see the bottom edge wear that we've got. So some surface issues on the bottom. I remember this one sold a couple times already this year. Most recently on PWCC Fixed Marketplace. I believe this one went for $63,000 a month or two ago. So let's be curious to see what 8.5s are doing. There was one at Golden most recently, so the comp is like 78,000. But again, those bids came in on the first day of the auction being posted, so that was a month ago at least. So things have settled down since then. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what the new comp is going to be for 8.5. Again, this isn't the best, but it does have a 9.5 sub for corners. The corners do look pretty good, so I'm sure people will be looking for that and the 9.5 edges. You just have the surface issue, which I'm surprised it actually got an 8 on the surface, even with all that. To me, it looks like it could be screw down damage. I'm not really sure, but still a good looking 8.5. But the big one, the biggest one in my opinion, is the PSA 7.5 that they have at Robert Edwards auction that just started today. 7.5s don't sell often. There's only 11 to 14 of them, I believe, in the pop report. And again, you've only got 27 eights in the new pop report. I think 35 eights total if you count the old pop report, but I don't know. I don't know if those would be classified as legit PSA 8s like the newer ones. Seems like they started grading a little tougher once they started doing it again. So, anyways, the last one of these sold maybe like a year ago on PWCC Premier, and for 24,000 when the PSA sevens were averaging around 18 to 20, 22,000, and it only went for 24,000. A lot of us talked about it, and we thought it was perhaps the wrong auction for that one. Having it in the Premier auction at the time, it might have done better elsewhere, but still, I've seen a only seen a couple of these, and I saw one recently listed for 100 grand, maybe. I forget. It might have been 100 grand or 115 grand. Um, so, being that the being that the PSA 8 went for 240K recently, I could see why somebody might ask 100, 115K on that. I don't think this will go that high. I would guess maybe 80, but we will find out in a few weeks once this auction ends. But this is a big time card here. Again, the case is a little bit dirty, so I would suggest looking at maybe the PSA scan to get a better overall look of this card. But it's a good looking 7.5. I don't see anything glaringly wrong with it necessarily. So that is it for today. Happy hunting, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.